Am I going left to that tree?
Yeah, we'll have a look down there first, you might see something.
Which way? Do I go left to that?
Yeah, just go left of the woods.
See, I just said left of the wood would be less likely because it's a bit more enclosed. Let's go straight on first, yeah? Okay.
There are currently 70 bird species on the British Trust for Ornithology's Red List.
I think that's a mammal. I'll just go and look it out though and see. Always check it out.
One way of monitoring them is at night, using a net and a torch in a process known as dazzling.
Might be a mammal.
But thanks to thermal spotters, the efficiency and success rate of dazzling has taken a giant leap forward.
Yeah, it was. It's gone down a hole. Oh, no, it hasn't.
With a number of licensed BTO bird ringers like Matt Pryor, who now rely on Pulsar thermal spotters to help them find birds of interest and decide what does and what doesn't need catching.
Yeah, there's a mouse down a hole. I get people ask me, like ringers, constantly, how do you do it? What distance do you put light on? What distance do you go? And I'm like, well, you just feel it, you catch it. You know, you. This is about reading the bird, reading the situation, and all those things. So, yeah, it can be like, but you just want to get something under your belt to get your confidence going. So the first bird I catch tonight will be nothing other than huge relief. Right, let's have a doodle.
In this first of 3 episodes, Matt shares how he finds and catches 2 different endangered species. That's just the start of the evening that continues with episode 2, adding to our red list, and concludes with part 3 of processing and releasing each bird. Here's Matt to tell you more.
But I catch about, and it varies night to night, 1 in 5's average.
Yeah.
So you might be prepared that I'll go halfway and the bird will just fly. That happens. So the other night, you know, I went out last week, and like the first 10 I approached, they all flew.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is that? You don't know why one night they're nervous, one night they're not.
So you get a lot of these around here?
So woodcock, we're still learning. They're not a bird that's common on the downs, but this particular farm has got these small copses. So woodcock by day sit in the copses, and by the evening come out and feed on the farmland.
And
So
is this something that you would ring?
Oh, absolutely. This is a really big target bird. Really big. So they breed in the Baltic states, Scandinavia, Russia, and then they winter here. So we want to know more about those movements and site fidelity. So he's a really important bird for us. And from the farm perspective, they're very interested to know that they've got them on the farm and how many.
Yes.
So this is the second one we've seen tonight in only 5 minutes. And there you have it. So I'll pop this in the bag and then we'll process it in a few minutes' time.
Do they all get an individual bag?
Yes. Yeah, so that'll go in there and then...
It's quite happy in there, I guess, because it's dark.
Once it's in the dark, it's fine, yeah. Okay. There we go. That's a great bird to catch first off. If you have this round your neck, mate, they're a big bird, they're heavy. I've been doing this since 2019, so I've got access to more farms, so I'm learning all the time about which ones are the ones where I want to go to for grey partridge, where do I go for woodcock, where do I go for skylark. So this stubble is medium height, and it's not ideal for larks, but it's really good for woodcock. So we might yet find some larks, but the fact we've just seen 2 woodcock is brilliant. Skylark is a bird that is so well known for being in our countryside, but we actually know remarkably little about them. In October, you hear lots of skylarks passing over the downs, and they pass right through the country. So they're definitely migrants, but we've got no idea where they're from. So how can we conserve something if we know nothing about it? So we don't know if these birds are wintering that are bred here. We don't know if this is a bird from much further north. In the past, before thermal imaging, there were only a few skylarks ringed each year. Nowadays we're ringing a lot more, but this is the early days, so we just need to catch more and more of these to try and get that data so that we understand a lot more about them. At the moment we understand so little, it's frightening almost. So thermal imaging is the way to catch skylarks, and before we did thermal imaging I would only catch 2 to 3 skylarks a year. Now I'm catching 1 to 300 a year. The chances are going to start increasing. But what we need to have is we need more ringers to be doing thermal imaging so that more skylarks are caught and ringed across the whole of not just England or Britain, but actually Europe. Because this bird, I cannot tell you if this bird was hatched here or was hatched in any country in Europe. I've got no idea at all.
But once you put a ring on it tonight,
There's a chance.
someone else or you may re-find it.
There's always
Yeah,
that
yeah.
chance. But every single data point of survival is one more bit of data that's going to teach us in the long run more about this bird, which eventually will help us to conserve them. Everything I have, if you notice, is everything about being dark.
Yeah. You're like Batman, really.
I am.
You are Birdman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Many people around here know me as the Birdman.
That's episode 1. Equipped with a thermal, of course, Matt, or Birdman's, catches didn't end there. Watch episode 2 for even more skylark captures, plus the dazzling technique for another endangered species that's declined by a staggering 83% in the UK. And to see all the red list species we caught close up, being aged, measured, weighed, ringed and then released back into the wild, subscribe and tune in for episode 3. I'm David Thomas Jacks and we represent Pulsar thermal spotters in the UK and Ireland. So if you've a question about thermal, just drop a comment below. A big thank you to Matt Pryor. Thanks for watching and come back for episode 2.